More and more companies are incorporating artificial intelligence into their daily business, and yet few consider how they'll monitor or mitigate its potential biases and risks until after an issue is identified. Today on Techopia Live, we'll hear about the software platform Ottawa's NuEnergy.ai launched to help companies measure and manage trust in their AI technology. Hello and welcome to Techopia Live. I'm Sherry Aske with the Ottawa Business Journal, and joining us today is Niraj Bhargava, the CEO of NuEnergy.ai. Niraj, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Techopia Live.
Great to be here, Sherry.
So one of the things we do on Techopia Live to get started is to ask all the CEOs or founders to give us their elevator pitch. So Niraj, what is your elevator pitch for NuEnergy.ai?
Thanks, Sherry. NuEnergy.ai is Canada's leader in AI governance. We uniquely dedicate our AI and governance experience and expertise to help build and deliver guardrails so our clients can ethically take advantage of the power of AI.
Okay, short and sweet, I like it. And recently you guys launched something called a machine trust platform. Can you tell us a bit about what that is, how it works, what it does, etc.?
Yeah, sure. Last month, NuEnergy.ai did announce the launch of our hosted machine trust platform, which is designed to support the ethical and transparent governance and measurement of artificial intelligence deployments. The software platform is launched through a pilot with the RCMP. That they're the first testing department approved through ISET, Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, and the Innovation Solutions Canada program to test the R&D innovation. After delivering an executive education program, NuEnergy.ai is currently working with the RCMP to develop a framework and configure our machine trust platform as part of our launch.
Okay. How do you determine, and how did you determine in all of this, what responsible AI looks like?
Great question, Jerry. It's not one size fits all. We co-create an AI governance framework for our clients that is based on their values, their compliance requirements, and most importantly, the perspectives of what is trustworthy in the eyes of their clients or key stakeholders. So we build a framework and configure the platform to the definition of responsible AI of our clients.
Okay. How long has this been in the works for you guys? And were there any challenges in getting it to this launch phase?
You know, it's over 3 years of R&D. Through the COVID period, we've had a dedicated team focused on building this platform, testing, configuring, and running pilots. Our platform's open, transparent, and configurable. And so one place for self-evaluation on the governance and ethics of AI, but also the adoption of standards. So we've been scouring the world for standards and frameworks, benchmarks, and accessing the best tools and techniques, and having a dashboard to monitor their AI. And that tool set we use is really integrated, the best tools that we have found in the world that can actually monitor and measure AI on topics like bias, privacy, transparency.
Yeah, and those, but a lot, like you said, you know, there isn't a one size fits all approach, so it would depend on what the company was looking at. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now that it's out there, what are the next steps? I know you're working, or you mentioned you're working with some guardrails with different government organizations. What will you be looking for in this next phase?
Yeah, our clients' AI use cases come in a lot of different forms. So we have different kinds of clients that are looking at machine learning and AI in different forms, but they're also at different stages of development. Some are still looking through the data and cleansing their data and looking at building models. Others are in the development stage. Others have deployed. And in some cases, these models are already out there and drifting. So it varies depending on the stage, the impact level. Some are high impact and some are low impact kind of models and algorithms, and also those trust questions. What are those trust questions that the clients have on these particular models and algorithms? So there is different kinds of use cases that we need to test and configure our platform to, because it is a very diverse world of AI.
Okay, yeah. Before we go on, I just want to take a moment, because we've been talking about some of the partnerships that NuEnergy.ai is involved with, to share a message from one of the supporters of Techopia Live, that is the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering. One of the resources that many local tech firms are turning to is the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering, which is one of the supporters of Techopia Live. And there's an opportunity for local companies to solve technical challenges through research partnerships at the University of Ottawa. The faculty's researchers are focused on applying their expertise to tackle real-world problems and are keen to work with businesses to bring these solutions to market. So these collaborations can unlock funding opportunities as well as lead to grants for hiring PhD students. Companies can also access labs, specific equipment, and gain access to world-leading researchers. And you can learn more about the opportunities available to local firms at engineering.uottawa.ca. Niraj, coming back to you guys, I want to shift gears a bit from talking about the product to talking about the industry. How great is the demand for this right now? Because it seems like AI is everywhere. So are there others out there that are trying to do a similar thing to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, AI is out there. It's today, it's not tomorrow. And the ethics of AI is a topic that is of great concern. The Gartner Group has identified AI governance as a major growth sector in the coming years. So we see the market is moving very quickly now, but it's interesting, you know, coming from the tech sector, it's usually the private sector that leads over the public sector. But in our case, it really is the public sector that's leading, as it should, because the concerns over public trust of machine learning and AI is even higher in the public sector, and but it's very relevant in the private sector as well. What we're finding in the private sector is that it's often about reputational risks and concerns on media attention and advancing legislation. So we're finding in the private sector that it's really a board level and fiduciary responsibility conversation. But in the public sector, there is an adoption and a responsibility on ethics that is moving ahead in looking at governing AI. So it is a fast moving market, but it is expected to grow substantially in the next few years.
Mm-hmm. And what is your plan to stay on top of that evolving market, rapidly evolving market, for either public or private?
Yeah, you know, what we're realizing is that there's still a level of awareness that isn't there available. So what we've decided to do in NuEnergy.ai, we have our machine trust platform. We configure frameworks or co-create frameworks, but we also have built an education arm of our organization, and we've recruited 15 top global faculty to help educate and build awareness around AI governance. So we do education programs for boards, for Canadian technology firms, for government departments, to build that awareness and understanding of what are these ethical questions that we need to be considering as we're building machine learning and AI models and deploying them.
Okay, very cool. Is there any way you could give an example, I guess, of something that the tool may identify or how it would work with a specific client?
Absolutely. You know, our tool is recognizing that we need to understand what goes behind building the model. Often, you know, the models are being built by technical experts in machine learning and AI, but we need some transparency to understand how the model was built and what kind of issues are there. So the main topics that come up are not just ethical questions, but questions about bias, around privacy, around transparency, and explaining the model. But around bias, you know, we certainly can recognize that humans are biased and machines can be biased as well. And the training data that goes into building a model may be trained on people of different age, different gender, different ethnicity. And sometimes that's acceptable and often it isn't. So we need to have some transparency to know what went into that model being developed. So what our platform allows is for you to look at the data and understand and measure those biases and decide from a governance point of view whether that's acceptable as an example.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that, just sort of the logistics of how it will work for different businesses. Before we go, is there anything else that you want to say or let people know, I guess, about the AI industry or the platform itself?
Yeah, no, thank you, Sherry. I guess the message I'd give is that it's never too early to get the guardrails up. You know, one of our first customers is Transport Canada, and they've taught us that you don't build a super highway and then wait for that first accident to realize that maybe we could have put some guardrails up and put some safety measures in place. We need the guardrails on the super highway of AI, and we need to do that up front. And they'll evolve, but we need to think about that so we can sleep well as get the advantages of AI. We've come a long way on human trust. We need to now think about machine trust as well.
Yeah, very well said. Well, thank you so much, Niraj. It was a pleasure speaking with you and hearing about the Machine Trust platform. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, Sherry. Thank you.
And before we go, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, without whom this show would not be possible. Number Crunch, offering virtualized CFO services for SaaS companies. Hurley Robertson, Hill and McDougall, a leader in business and tech law. TD Bank, with specialized programs for tech firms. The University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. Techopia is not just a great show. We are also online with new articles daily at obj.ca/Techopia. If you are on Facebook or Twitter, you can follow us. Our handle is @TechopiaOTT. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the like button, or you can leave a comment down below. And that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back soon with another episode of Techopia Live.